Guys, it's time to cover some behaviors, thoughts, and patterns that are pretty much a 100% guarantee for absolute failure in your dating life. The reason for me making this video is because I've been witnessing, looking at guys all the time and seeing patterns, hearing them say certain things that just don't make any sense. So that's why in this video I have chosen 10 stereotypes, masculine stereotypes, that cover typical stupid behavior and will demonstrate in what ways guys just ruin their chances completely. So sometimes it's a lack of awareness. In that case, this video might be useful, but maybe it's just pure ignorance and stubbornness that is completely hijacking and destroying your love life, your dating life, and any potential you might have with women and cold approach, of course. So in this video, I will be covering 10 typical behavioral patterns or stereotypical guys, just for the sake of the explanation on this video, that are destroying their chances with the feminine because of what they're doing. First one, and maybe the most common one, is of course the nice guy. What is a nice guy? A nice guy thinks that by being nice, he'll get to finally sleep with a woman. Now, he's not only being nice to women, right? Also to your colleagues, your friends, your boss, people all around him. What characterizes a nice guy the most is the fact that this behavior is essentially pure manipulation. So it is fake, it's a mask, and women will read this anyway. It will be interpreted as weak behavior. Why? Because it is weak behavior. Typical things for the nice guy, typical behavior is, oh, I'll drop you off at home, don't worry, I'll buy you dinner, I'll pay for this, I'll be nice, I'll come fix your sink without any happy ending, I'll basically do whatever I think that will please you in order to get in your pants. It will never work, okay? Typical thing with nice guys is they will build up a lot of resentment for the people around them, and eventually women as well. Deep down, they are very sexually frustrated and angry. The second one I'd like to cover is the macho man. So what is a macho man? He's very concerned with being masculine, with status, maybe looks, always talking about his car, about his money, about his business. Things that if he just hits the gym 7 times a week or 14 times a week, he'll have enough muscle, and believes that his success with women is basically a direct consequence of his status, his money, and his looks. Something typical about the macho dude, the guy that's extremely concerned with his masculinity and his status and his money, is basically he'll constantly be dividing the world into 2 parts, 2 columns. First one being this belongs into the extremely masculine column, and then second column is pussy column, right? So the way they speak, the way they dress, everything they own, everything they do must be 100% fitting into that first column. Otherwise, they just can't sleep at night. We all know the super jacked guy at the gym that looks like he lives there, works out all the time, has headphones on, very serious face, very, closed off behavior basically. The way he walks, The way he looks around him is super cool, super masculine. This is just a sign of being absolutely emotionally closed off. An issue with being obsessed over your status, how your car looks, and if you're wearing a Rolex or not, is that women will see through it and will be perceived ultimately as a sign of weakness. There's two things wrong with this basically. First thing is, if you try to casually drop something during conversation with a girl you like about your money, your car, or your finances, or how successful you are in a materialistic way, and she'll immediately pick up on it and it will be registered as insecurity. Now the second problem is, let's say she really does like it, then you've just successfully set yourself up with a gold digger. So either way you lose, and it's stupid. I would highly suggest you to simply not say anything about your income, not talk about where you live and what car you have. It's better if she just finds out about it, and then it will be a pleasant surprise that could potentially impress her. Plus, you know she's not out for your car, your money. One is basically about guys that are so erratic, so extroverted, and simply can't control themselves, that I call this one the clown. So a clown is somebody that has such explosive social energy and simply does not know how to control himself, and therefore will say or do weird things, jump around, try to be funny, make jokes, have very expressive body language, and sometimes just say weird stuff that might be interpreted in the wrong way. So variation on this is basically catcalling. Catcalling is just a guy that is incapable of containing himself, doesn't have a way to verbalize his intent, and therefore just starts screaming tits and ass all over the street, making gestures, waving, thinking and deluding himself into what he's doing is funny or even seductive, while in reality usually it will be ignored. Oftentimes some people will be slightly annoyed by it. Girls might be weirded out. You might get a bad reaction as well. And bottom line is, you're still not getting laid. So let's say, best case scenario, it works, right? You made some joke, you did something weird, and she's actually laughing. Congratulations. Now, I would say it's probably still a matter of time before you mess it up in a different way, because you're simply not socially calibrated enough to hold a long, decent, interesting conversation. The next kind of guy that simply will never be successful with women is the know-it-all. So what is a know-it-all? That's a guy that has ready-made answers for everything, or he will simply reply to every given situation without actually thinking first, and he just often lacks real life experience. So maybe he read a book, he watched some YouTube content, has a favorite guru on the internet, is following the stuff, and suddenly you basically know everything. You really understand what's going on with women. You know what to expect in life, love, and relationships, and you'll start passionately advising everyone around you and telling people how, pickup really works and how cold approach really works. So that's just nonsense. It just means you lack experience. Next one is a clingy dude. You say clingy, clingy. Let's say clingy. So that's the guy, the needy guy, right? The dude that finally has a option in his life, probably through dating apps, and obsessed about her and constantly overthinking everything. So the main issue here is lead acquisition and simply not being able to get more women into his life. There's not much interesting stuff to say about this. It just means they are obsessed with one particular option and they will justify their entire existence around wanting to invest in that one and only option. They really like to shame other men for having other options as well, and would really love to blame you for not really valuing, your one good option that you already had. And the next one is a very good one. This is the sex addict. And we are not talking about somebody that has so much sex or gets laid that often that he became addicted to it. Basically, he is addicted to jerking off or to masturbation, probably just from, yeah, obviously porn, but also Instagram, other images of women, maybe even his arousal or his excitement comes from dating apps, and then it brings you to social media. It will bring you to porn, movies, whatever. You're constantly talking about how women look, right? Like, oh my god, her boobs, oh my god, her ass, oh this and that. Constantly looking at girls, staring at girls, making remarks about women's physical appearance. This basically proves that the guy is probably jerking off too much, watching too much porn. He's stuck in passiveness and inaction. I remember one day years ago when I was with a group of friends in Barcelona. One dude would just constantly stare at girls on the street and make remarks about, their physical appearance, and of course never actually approaching any girl. So this is stupid, and it will just mentally and physically drain you in the end. You're becoming, you slowly but surely become like an empty shell of a man. He focused on finding the next moment in his life to jerk off. The next kind of guy is the women hater or the misogynist. This guy will constantly complain about women. It is highly likely that he has bad experiences with women. He's had bad breakups, is going through divorce, a broken heart. You are ultimately, if you're in this category, you are a perfect fit to go straight into the red pill world or black pill world. So those guys often lack accountability and drive. Very, very typical one here is the whore Madonna complex, as some people like to call it. It is shaming women, blaming women, categorizing women into the good girl category or the bad girl category, shaming them, blaming them for everything, strongly believing that it's just a matter of time before they start manipulating you, before they expire, before everything goes wrong. While actually, a big part in that expectation or the dynamic you might have experienced in the past is a direct consequence of your own stupid behavior. It is a very black and white worldview. Very, very difficult for guys who believe this to snap out of it. And it directly ruins their chances of building a real connection with another woman. Another one here is the nightlife guy, or the guy that thinks he has to go to parties in order to get laid. Now, first of all, I'm not saying nightlife is not the place to go. I will never say that there are no successful nightlife guys out there. Of course, you can find and meet women, and of course, there are guys that are very successful with women during the night. However, the point here is there's a ton of men that will systematically go to parties believing that it is their one and only chance to connect with the feminine and to get laid. So the idea is, let's go to the techno club, let's pop some pills, let's go to that bar, let's get drunk, let's go with a group to this and that event, and then finally all the girls will be there. While the actual facts are that it is way easier to set up a date with a girl during the day. A variation on this is basically the alcoholic and the drug addict. Now, those are not necessarily night people. I mean, you could still be an alcoholic and a drug addict and never go to parties as well. But yeah, the alcoholic and the drug addict are the guys that simply can't wait to get some drinks going, because then they'll be in the right state and they will be back in character, and that will maximize or optimize their game, right? Or you can't wait till it's finally time to go to the big techno club again, because then you can use some ecstasy, pop some pills, and that will bring you in the right mood. You're basically obsessed with combining different substances to get yourself in the best state and to get the girls, while oftentimes it still won't approach at all. And then last but not least, and I think that makes it 11, so it's not 10 but it's 11, is the relationship guy or the situationship guy. Or basically the guy who has a girlfriend, who has a wife or something like that. And you're in a relationship, but you're constantly thinking about, I want to meet girls, I want to sleep with another woman, I need to get out of the house, and I need to learn about approaching, date game pickup. I need to learn techniques to get laid and meet other women, because you're not satisfied with your girlfriend or your wife or whatever it is. Now, the reality of this is that it will mess up your game, okay? You cannot live with a woman and be constantly obsessed with meeting other women. That's just not a healthy way of living your life. It will also never work. It will mess up your current relationship or relationships, and it will mess up your game. It will mess up your mindset and your success with meeting new women as well.